Like the Real Housewives of Max Verstappen up in here.
Checo's checked out.
Joe Lonnie is off the track. That steak is cooked.
A lot is at stake for Steak F1.
Man, even the broadcast couldn't handle that stat.
My heart almost was screaming like, how can anybody be a Lewis Hamilton fan?
No.
Not on my 2024 bingo card.
Yeah, we're gonna have to create a new one now.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Lights Out Latest. My name is Marina, and I'm here with my fellow Formula One fans and friends, Tristan, Steven, and Jason. And obviously there was no race this week, but we are going to talk tons of headlines. Before we do that, it was blue and white this weekend, and me and Steven saw a pace car.
We did see a pace truck to be exact.
Pace truck
It was a pace truck.
I unfortunately forget.
Forgot the Speedway.
Yeah, I forgot what it was.
Well,
too.
what was the manufacturer? Was
It was
it
a Ford.
It was a
Ford
Ford?
It was a Ford
pickup truck.
F-150.
Did it look new? Was it?
It was
It
like
looked
a
new.
Yeah, it was like a 2021,
I don't remember the
2022.
last time they used. Was it okay? I mean, my last trivia question: was it a NASCAR or was it IndyCar? It's definitely NASCAR, probably.
I think it
Well,
was I didn't know.
It was like late models or something.
Yeah, like, it literally just said like official pace car on like around like the rim of the rim of the tire, and then on the side it said something Speedway, but we don't remember what the name was.
Interesting.
Starts with an M.
You know what's funny is
Yeah, it does start with an M.
conjoining with that story is one of my coworkers back home at the golf course I work with. He's retired. He has an Indy 500 Corvette pace car from 2007. Jason, give me the name of the winner of that year.
For IndyCar?
2007.
The Indy 500?
Yep.
It wasn't Dario.
No, he was 08.
Juan Pablo Montoya.
No, he never won the 500, right?
No, I don't think he did.
Well, Jack was retired then. Well, not really, but he might as well be.
Yeah.
Shoot, I almost want to say Scott Dixon, but I think that's totally wrong.
Who won F1 in 07?
I was gonna say like.
Oh wait, you were dead right from the beginning. It was Dario Franchitti.
Oh,
Dario Franchitti in 2007.
you see, I knew. Oh, and was it this? Was it the electric pickup?
No,
okay.
I'm sure it was older than.
It's a Martin
was it
Ford.
brand new? Was it like a brand new
It
truck?
looked brand new.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the one you
maybe
see.
it was then.
It's like you see like the AMR safety crew trucks, like those.
Yeah,
maybe
it looked like that one, but it was gray, not red.
Huh. Interesting.
It's like
That's a
Miller
cool little
Road or something.
little tidbit.
Not so bad.
For people that do not know, Penn State has their once a semester.
Once a year.
Once
Spring
a year, I
classic
guess.
game.
I was saying for the spring semester, we have
Yeah.
our what's called our scrimmage game between the football team, and everybody had a great weekend. Tristan was working very hard, so was Jason, but these two got to have fun. And
Yeah, me and Steven got to tailgate a little bit and have some funsies.
yeah, but it was good.
Wally.
It was good for everybody. That's really cool. You guys saw like a pace truck of some kind.
Yeah, it was
That's
cool.
neato.
I wanna see
We
if I
weren't
can find
expecting
it.
it.
No.
We just walked right past it on our way from the tailgate to the stadium. We were like,
Oh wow.
Oh,
you
that's
should
a
have
pace
taken a
car.
picture, man.
I don't think
we were
either of
distracted
us
by
were.
the. We were.
Oh well,
Distracted.
I mean, yeah. Well, were you guys? Did you go into the game?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, interesting.
We each got a
And you were
pretzel.
bored by that, and then left probably at the half.
No, we went in at the half.
Oh,
And then we
okay.
stayed for the rest of the game. But there's no, the blue and white is like essentially it's like we were watching a practice.
Yeah.
And so there's no stoppage time. So it was like,
Yep.
It flew by.
It
James
was so
Franklin's just
fast.
on the field.
we were there
you
for
know,
like
doing stuff
45
that.
minutes, maybe an hour.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, still, it's regardless.
It was
still
fun.
pretty cool.
It was a good day. It ended at like 4:30 when I went to bed.
Minus the weather for everybody that does
The
know about
wind
the
was
weather.
crazy.
yesterday.
The porta potties were flipping over.
Yep, I saw that.
I went into use one. It's like it better not flip over
Yeah.
on me.
It
Speaking
would have been a horrible day for Williams to race.
Oh my god.
So
yeah, they
bad.
can't deal with the
They
wind.
can't do it the way.
For people that can't know or don't know, yesterday it was about 50 degrees out and about 40 mile per hour winds, and today it is about 75 degrees out, sunny with wind, but
And thunderstorms.
it's-
Don't forget about
well,
the
yeah,
thunderstorms
Stephen
coming.
has meteorologist Stephen Kister has informed us that there is chance of rain and thunderstorms at 7 p.m.
Penn
Yes.
State is the home of AccuWeather.
You're right. That's also true. Dude, we're just
Penn
nothing
State's
but fun
weather
facts right
is
now.
bipolar, is what it is.
It's very bipolar. Well, it's the
Perfectly
valley.
happy
It's the
weather.
problem is
The
like
happy
weather that
valley.
like
Happy Valley.
will go up, it go down in the valley. It do go down.
And it go around.
It goes down in the Happy Valley.
It
I'll tell
does.
you what.
Yeah, we're in Happy
But
Valley.
unfortunately, we didn't have a race this past weekend, or well, this weekend, in general, right?
Yeah.
So
But we had some really
a lot of
fun
news.
announcements.
Lots of
good
news.
Sure did.
Firstly, and probably the biggest news of the week, Fernando Alonso renewed his contract with Aston Martin.
big dog.
Yup.
Many speculated that he was going to Mercedes or to Red Bull, more to Red Bull than to Mercedes, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
Well,
this is like the first piece of the puzzle that like goes into place for
Yeah.
next year.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like this was probably gonna be the case all along. You know, he was saying he wanted to stay with Honda.
Yeah.
Of course, Mercedes wasn't gonna have that, and neither was Red Bull's not gonna have that either down the road
Red
with
Bull,
Ford coming
yeah,
in.
well,
but-
Red Bull offered him a seat.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
we heard about that. Like
Yeah.
it was it day of or the day
It
before?
was like the day before. It was
Yeah.
like Red Bull and Aston Martin have both offered Alonso contracts, so it's kind of like in his hands. Honestly, I think Max may have had a lot to do with them not signing Fernando, and may have something to do with them potentially not even signing Carlos. Because Max has made a lot of comments about, like, why do we have a junior driver program if all you're ever going to do is sign drivers that
That's
are
true.
older,
That's true.
more experienced, and were
Yeah.
never part of the Red Bull program. Now, Carlos is different because Carlos was with Red Bull Junior, but he's been outside of Red Bull for so long that bringing him in, I feel like it doesn't, I mean, as much as I love it,
Yeah.
and I feel like it fits,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
No, that's fair.
It's
but-
kind of like bringing Albon back.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of in that same
But
deal.
I would say the thing is too, though. I mean, I don't really think of Red Bull as a team that wants to start, from the bottom like that. If that makes sense. Like they're in a win now situation, and so I don't think they're
Yeah.
really in a place to be like. I mean, of course, Max is always going to give you those wins, but I feel like if you're Red Bull and you want to get, if you want to push yourself even further, you're gonna want to get Carlos Sainz in there to get you those wins.
Yeah,
You know?
especially with like Alonso, like from a Red Bull perspective, why would you sign almost like a stopgap driver? Like we're not gonna sit here and say we guarantee no Alonso's retiring after next year, but
Right.
like it's gonna
I have a
happen.
feeling he's not going into the new
Yeah,
regs.
like it's
but
gonna happen. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
if he does go into the new regs, he does. But even if he does do that, is it for 6 years or something? No, it's probably gonna be a very short term deal, 2 to 3 years maybe.
Well,
So like from a Red Bull perspective, I don't
Yeah.
know, and especially with Carlos Sainz, like in as far as we're concerned, like in our theories that he's gonna go in that Audi team.
Yeah.
But Red Bull, like why would you?
Yeah.
Like, I don't. It doesn't make any sense.
The question I
don't
think
know.
Red Bull has to ask themselves is, do they think Fernando Alonso still has another championship in him? Or does he have that
Do they
capability?
need him to have another
no,
championship
no,
in him?
but
Yeah.
I just
Somebody
mean,
that could
can
be
he be a top
second
3
fiddle.
driver?
They need him to be
You know what I mean?
second fiddle.
Yeah.
I think Red Bull's biggest question at the moment, I think, is also like, if you sign Carlos Sainz, you're locked in at Red Bull for a very long time.
Yeah.
Because neither of those two drivers are going to retire anytime soon.
Yeah.
Carlos Sainz
Right.
and Max Verstappen.
Yep.
That locks up the door. It locks the door for any of your junior drivers. And yes, they did let go of a lot of junior drivers at the end of last year.
Yeah.
They're a lot smaller group now, but there's still so many of them. There's 12, 14, at
dozens,
least.
just dozens
Dozens
of
of junior
They have the
drivers,
most
so-
for sure in-depth junior program
Yeah.
of any team, and it's
yeah.
crazy though, because
Yeah.
we've talked
Yeah.
about this so many times. Those guys are gonna get older and older.
Yep.
And where are they gonna go?
Yeah.
There's
Well,
nowhere for them to
it's,
go.
It's,
right now.
nowhere
it's
for them to
almost
go.
as if Red Bull needs like a third team.
Yeah.
Like,
What?
Obviously,
Oh, man.
I think
think-
AlphaTauri, not to cut you off, I just think AlphaTauri would always be the practice team or the development team.
Yeah.
But I think it's almost to the point, to your point, it's like
You need
they
a
need
development team for the development team.
Well,
The
no,
Red
not even
Bull-
that. They need 2 main teams. They need Red Bull and they need like
The Red Bull Zero
A.
Sugar team.
Yeah, they need Red Bull A and like Red Bull B at this point. So they have like
Yeah.
a team
It's
with
just
like
a-
juniors and
yeah.
stuff, you know?
Well, that's a thing where I think they just need to build up Racing Bulls to be the same, to be at a very similar
Yeah.
status as Red
Yeah.
Bull. It's
Yeah.
gonna take a lot of work, and I don't think it's gonna happen soon at all. But
Right.
they need to that team should be like in the position of like a Aston Martin or right below
Yeah.
an Aston Martin, where it's like
Yeah.
you're consistently maybe like P6 and picking up all the points that
Leftovers kind of
leftovers.
thing.
Yeah, like when a Lance Stroll doesn't finish, then you're there to pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
I will say, I think this kind of falls into, and I have a very short tidbit about NASCAR because Joe Gibbs Racing is a really good example. With they had a really in-depth feeder program. Like they were one of the best, like in the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series. They were leading these young talents up through the ranks. And what a lot of Top Series, Cup Series teams did is they purposely didn't run feeder series teams because they would just pick from the Joe Gibbs guys. Because eventually those Joe Gibbs guys would get up to like, they were of age. They were like, all right, I want to go Cup Series racing. I've
Yep.
proved it.
Yep.
And Joe Gibbs didn't have a seat available.
No,
So
yeah.
then Hendrick Motorsports or Penske or any of those guys be like, yoink, our guy now. Like
Yep.
that's what some of these teams might be happy about is, oh, Red Bull's funding all these guys. We're going to take them.
Yeah.
We're going to
Yeah.
take
Yeah,
them
I
when
guess
they're
in
ready
a
to
way
go.
they're
Carlos
doing the
Sainz.
team's work for
Carlos Sainz, yep. That's
Like,
a good
think of
one.
that.
How
That's
many
Carlos, yeah.
drivers the last few years? Like Daniel Kvyat, I mean, he's gone now. But like currently on the grid, that used to be Red Bull Juniors.
No, yeah, I think last year, was it last year? The year before? Before Seb left, I think it was like 8 out of the 20 drivers were Red Bull drivers.
Sheesh.
Where
Damn.
it's like, even if you look at this year's grid, I mean, like, George was Mercedes, Lewis was McLaren.
Mm-hmm.
Then the two Red Bull drivers. Checo was never a Red Bull Junior.
No,
Max
he was. Checo had like
Yuki,
2 teams,
Daniel.
right, or something like that.
Was Daniel a Red Bull Junior?
Yep.
It's been so long I can't even remember because he was a junior like 20 years ago.
Oh man,
What age did he
still looks great. He still looks very young.
I mean, he's only like 34.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that.
Well,
I
that's
think he's 34.
motorsport. I mean, it's sports in general, though. It's like what we think is old is like, okay, 34, we're getting up there. You know what I mean?
also
It's
got,
just
like,
crazy.
for
Albon,
sports.
Gasly.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That's for every sport, though. Yeah.
Well, Albon and Gasly like aren't even racing in the Red Bull program anymore, but they are Red Bull Juniors.
Yep.
So.
They used to be, yeah. Science used to be.
Well, the rumors that I've been hearing is that Carlos Sainz is very close to a deal with Mercedes, not with Red Bull. But the problem is, and this is an issue that so many drivers have had with, not only in contracts, but also with Mercedes in particular. Lewis had this, Valtteri complained about this, is Mercedes always wanted that 1 year deal with the option to extend for once. It's a 1+1 deal. Whereas Carlos really wants a 2+1 deal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they're fighting at the moment, is what the rumors are. But who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
1+1 makes sense for Mercedes, and realistically, I really don't think they would go further than that because they lost their shot with Max, and Toto is still so sour about that. I think he really wants to bring Kimi Antonelli in.
Yeah.
Well, he wants to get back from that Max Verstappen situation.
Yeah. The more I think about it, the more I agree with Will Buxton. Will Buxton was like, it makes so much sense for Mercedes to sign Kimi Antonelli, bring him in. He gets 1 year of essentially practice runs in the Mercedes, getting to know everyone, because that Mercedes is garbage.
Yeah.
That Mercedes is not winning a championship anytime soon, and they're going to devote their time next year to the new regs. So there's not much else they can do. They don't need a top driver in the second seat because they have George, and then Kimi will start to learn from them.
I'm building around
pieces.
George, personally,
Yeah.
if I'm them.
So
Kimi in general, obviously great addition to the team, hopefully coming forward, right? But I'm building around George. I really am. I think again, we kind of agreed on this last time. I think Jason mentioned that George Russell is very capable of being a Formula One champion. I don't disagree. We don't need to circle back to this. But
if you want to know why, check out last week's episode.
Shameless plug. But I for that reason would build around George. Just for that, again, fundamental reason.
Yeah.
I do believe that he can, with the proper equipment, be quite a contender.
Yeah.
But to circle back again, what's it called? We were talking about Fernando. He's got that deal.
You do?
He's with Aston Martin, so he's there. Is it just for 1 more year? Is
I
it a
think it's
1 year deal?
Yeah. I think it's through
extension.
2026.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I like him in the. Is it an olive green? No, it's like an emerald green.
British Racing Green.
British Racing Green, correct?
Yeah.
Because that's what all the Mini Coopers and all like that.
Well,
they
it
have
was
them.
always like an
Jaguar.
Aston Martin thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Aston Martin.
Aston Martin. Yeah. What? I just named 2 other manufacturers that aren't even. That's crazy.
Well, you have Lotus and Aston Martin.
Did
and
you say
Bentley, I
Mini
think, all ran
Cooper?
it.
I thought Mini Cooper. No, they're like usually red, right? Aren't they?
Or blue.
But they're not
They have-
racing. They're
I
not
was gonna
racing
say,
at
I
all.
mean-
No, hold on. I count Rally. I do.
Okay.
Does
They
Mini
were
Cooper
pretty
race
good on the
for
rally
IndyCar?
scene in the
I didn't
60s and
know
the
that.
70s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another
Yep.
fun fact I did not know.
Little fun facts. There you go. Well, there's a couple manufacturers you probably don't even know. Lancia.
Oh, I love Lancia.
Citroen. Bunch of
Citroen,
Citroen.
Lancia.
Technically French.
I knew
Peugeot.
that one.
Peugeot. Yep.
I know that one. I knew Citroen once Jason said it correctly. I knew it.
Oh, come on. American out here. Democracy. Freedom.
Cute bird sounds.
I'm also American. Democracy, freedom.
You're Mrs. Worldwide.
Yeah, but
You're
I'm still
American, but you are Mrs. Worldwide. You're more cultured than us.
Okay, I'll take that. Why
take
not? Anyways,
There you
She
go.
would take that.
let's talk about the next piece of news. Prema has officially dove in. They've registered. Not registered. I don't know. They're going to IndyCar.
They're going there.
IndyCar. They've
They're in.
registered.
Doing it.
I was gonna say they registered for IndyCar, but that really doesn't make any sense to me. So
Yeah.
they're joining IndyCar.
There you go.
They're already in FIA F2, FIA F3, FIA F4 Regional, Europe, and F1 Academy.
Yep.
They dominate the feeder series.
They do.
Is
Indeed
IndyCar
they
going to
do.
be another domination?
We will just have to wait and see on this one. I mean, like you said, they have so many other dominant teams, F2, F3, F4, well, not F5. That's not really a thing. All the feeder series, to your point. But I don't know. It's going to be tough, honestly. I mean, they're a Europe-based team. I believe they're an Italian team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they make that transition to IndyCar. I mean, IndyCar is a very, very different animal than, of course, we talked about F1.
Yeah.
And they're a lot faster, I think, than, F2, F3, F4. So the speed there is definitely be an interesting transition. But they have a guy coming in. Let's see. I forget what the guy's name is. Fry. Oh, gosh.
They already announced drivers?
No,
No.
team principal.
Team
Reen
principal, okay.
Reen Rosen, yes. He was with Leonard Lanigan Racing, also with Arrow McLaren. I think he was with Ray Hall as well. But yeah, I mean,
Guy knows his stuff.
yeah, he knows his stuff in IndyCar. He's done
Yeah.
some good things. So definitely have some good leadership there. But I know I was reading he was even saying that he's gonna bring in. It sounds like a good amount of veteran guys on the IndyCar side to help out with the team. But then also bring in some guys on the Prema side. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be an interesting mix for him for sure.
I would think I think it'd be really interesting to see if they try and go for IndyCar drivers that were previously Formula racers, like F2 drivers that are now previous F2 drivers that are now in IndyCar, or if they're just gonna go
Yeah.
whatever, or because that's their roots, right? Like
Yeah.
they're coming from F1 feeder series, so
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to see Marcus Armstrong and drivers like that came
Yeah.
from F2.
Or
Well, I was just gonna correct myself. It's Pierce Phillips, not the other guy. I said Reen Rosen. He's the principal of
Gotcha.
Racing.
Or maybe what they
Pierce
could do
Phillips is the guy
is
taking
some of those F2 guys that are like on a contract year, they're like they
Yeah.
know their opportunity in F1 isn't ready yet or something
Yeah.
like that. Maybe they could take some of those guys.
That's what I think is going to be interesting, is because
Yeah.
for a long time, I mean, obviously F2 in general is the stepping stone to F1, but talk about the drivers on this year's grid that race for Prema at some point.
Yep.
Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Pierre Gasly, Esteban Ocon, Lance Stroll, Logan Sargent, Valtteri Bottas, Joe Guanyu. That's
Yep.
like half the grid.
It's a half the grid. And
So
Yep.
if they could continue that, but bring that IndyCar wise, like bridge the gap between drivers going from IndyCar to F1, that would be cool.
Yep.
Like if they could bring in a driver from IndyCar to F1, given their connections that they already have with the sport, that could be really interesting to see. They also are home to the two most talked about drivers in F2 right now, which is Kimi Antonelli and Ollie Behrman.
Yep.
Yep.
At least one of which will probably be on the grid next year.
Circling back to the original question, I think again Jason can chime in on this too. I think their chances of success are very high.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that coincides with the opportunity that IndyCar brings with the cars being much more universal. Or not
Universal.
is it universal? Is universal the right
Spec.
word? Spec.
Spec.
Spec is the word I was
That's a good word,
looking
yeah.
for. They're much more spec, so it kind of comes up to the drivers and the teams
Yeah.
like
Setup abilities.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's how Prema has dominated all these other series. All these junior series are spec.
yep.
Yeah.
So they've just mastered that formula of racing. The only thing is in IndyCar, you're allowed to develop your dampeners. So it's part of the suspension that like after the spring rebounds, so the car doesn't like bounce. The
Yeah.
dampener like smooths it out. But you could buy that. Like Penske has a company, Penske Racing
Yeah.
Shocks.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
Penske
Andretti-
Racing Shocks are like the one I know for sure.
Yeah, so like you
top
could
dollar.
do all that. All they need is to bring some setup people that know how to set up for ovals.
Yeah.
Yep.
And no, I'm pretty confident. I'm excited to see what drivers they bring over. Like, is it gonna be a F2 champion that's like waiting in the wings, like
Like Theo
Theo?
Porcher.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
Theo Porcher. Like, I could see him running a year in IndyCar just to stay doing something.
Yeah. Well, we see a lot of drivers like Liam Lawson, Ayumu Iwasa, who don't have a seat in F2, have jumped to like Super Formula as well. IndyCar, so that they kind of like series where a lot of drivers are jumping to kind of keep their talent and not like waste it away. I guess I don't
Yep.
waste it away,
Yeah.
but kind of just
Nah,
you don't want to
yeah.
sit there kind of twiddling
Yeah,
your thumbs and
like-
just driving the sim. So yeah, maybe it could be interesting to see some drivers. I mean, like
Like
I think
Alex
Ed-
Albon went to DTM
Yeah.
when he was out for a year.
Well, I was actually going to bring that up. Pierce Phillips actually brought in a DTM veteran 2018, Robert Wickens, and he got the pole for the Firestone Grand Prix that year.
No, yep. And he was on for a great race. I was actually at the race where, unfortunately, he had that crash that partially paralyzed him. But Robert Wickens. I mean, there's potential. I'm excited to see who they draft. Like, I have no doubt they could be pretty competitive.
And there's no like barrier to entry. Can they just can they just enter?
It's very low.
Yeah, like
compared to and we'll talk about that with
I was gonna say
with Andretti as well, because Andretti is going to jump to Formula 2 and Formula 3 next year as well. So another team moving into these categories. There's the barriers to entry in a feeder series, and even in IndyCar compared to F1 is ridiculous. Like F1 is so controlling with that kind of stuff, which I guess
understandable.
Kind of makes sense, but
I heard rumors that the next Concord agreement, which is like the agreement between all the teams of how the sport is run between the FIA and F1, is that they're going to limit it to 10 teams. Because right now it's 12 teams. Like, you could have 12 teams on the grid, and we have before, but apparently next time they want to make sure it's 10.
And do you think this is coming from the F1 and the FIA is coming from the teams, or is it coming from F1?
Yeah, I think it's coming from the teams and F1.
I would think so too, yeah.
And definitely not the FIA. Like, the FIA, they're technically a non-profit that wants to promote motorsport. F1 and all the teams, they're there to make
privately
money
owned,
and market whatever brands. So they want to keep the pie for themselves of prize money. And this all goes back to why Andretti wasn't let in, which is really interesting to why Andretti is still entering Formula 3 and Formula 2. Actually, Formula 1 owns the commercial rights to Formula 3 and Formula 2.
Yep.
So they're still dealing with Formula 1 management.
Yeah.
Just that they don't really care as much as splitting the prize money for F2, F3. If there is prize money, I don't even know.
There is, but it's much smaller, I think.
Yeah. So
I have to check.
They don't really care.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. We'd have to read more on it to see if they're going to be an additional team on the grid or if they're taking over another team, because I don't remember. It's been like 3 or 4 days, and it's been, like we said, it's been a busy weekend. But I think it's interesting. I think this is like their way of getting into F1. I think they were kind of, I don't want to say rejected from F1, but that's essentially what happened. They were told no.
Put on hold.
Yeah, and told they could reapply later, and I think that's how they're going to solidify their application for the future is look, we've done well, and that's where it's going to be so important for them to do well, because if they're a back-of-the-pack team in F2, F3, there's no way they're getting into F1.
Well,
and they're, in my opinion, I think they have to be almost winning a championship or something like impressive to be let in.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, too, I mean, they're putting in so much money into this already.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, the fact that they already have a Silverstone, like, not HQ, but...
Yeah, basically an HQ. They got building. They've hired people. They made that one tunnel model.
Yep.
And, I mean, who knows?
The logistics are there.
The rumors of Alpine being up for sale. I mean, Renault has sold it in the past.
Yeah.
Like, they sold it out to Lotus, and then they bought it back. And then it's been a failure again, and they might sell it again. And it's just always been, they've been flaky about F1.
So, Jason, you might know this. So, if Andretti was rejected, but if they buy another team, there's no, like, there's not an issue with that, right?
There shouldn't be, because when Force India was bought out by Lance Stroll, they did. I mean, Lawrence Stroll might as well be Lance.
Might as well have been a duo.
Inherit it at some point.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the meme where it's like Lance is next to his dad? His dad's asleep. He's like, "Inheritance came early, boys."
I've never seen that.
All right, I'll
Did you see the
later.
meme that came this week that was Lawrence Stroll adopts Yuki Tsunoda as his better son or his new son or something?
He should.
So funny.
The Honda's coming for Aston Martin.
Yeah.
No, but when that happened, the FIA canceled Force India's points and didn't let them transfer into Racing Point points because they said, "Oh no, this is a new entry. Force India doesn't exist anymore. You're starting from 0 points from Spa onwards."
Yeah.
So really, if you look up the standings, there's 11 teams on that grid, and the points are split between Force India and Racing Point.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, it shouldn't be an issue. They should let him on because the whole big deal was 10 teams, not what teams.
Yeah.
Even though the FIA said, oh, we don't know if Andretti would be competitive. But
Yeah.
if they already buy a team that's proven themselves and gotten podiums and wins before,
Yeah.
I don't think they'd have an issue. They'd let him in.
Yeah. To be clear, team principal Bruno Faumann did say the team is absolutely not for sale. But how many times has someone said, so-and-so is absolutely not leaving the team, and then he leaves the team?
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
Right?
Yep. You just never know.
Or whatnot. You never know. And
He might
F1
be
is a
saying
media
that, but
circus.
Renault might be like,
Yeah.
yeah,
exactly.
no, sell the team, Bruno. We don't care.
Yeah, we don't care. Let's talk about another feeder series. Not an F1 feeder series, which is something that I want to correct because a lot of people have this impression. And I feel like you were about to say it.
It still like counts, right?
It's an open wheel racing. You could call
Yes and
anything.
no.
Still
Here's
counts.
the problem.
Okay.
Here's the problem.
Here we go.
People see F1 Academy, and the way it's been pitched a lot of times is F1 Academy is for female racers, and it's their way of getting into F1, and that's absolutely not true.
Yeah.
There's no way you can jump from F1 Academy to F1. That'd be like jumping from Formula 4 to F1. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
This
it's
is
a way
their
to
way
get female-
into F3,
Yeah.
F4, so that they
Yeah.
can eventually make it to F1.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is a point that I think Max Verstappen missed, because Max Verstappen has been quite attacked for his comments in.
I think his comments were right, but it also falls into like the line of, I would say like what you said is dead on when we're coming to like the general masses. If I talk to a random person, it's like, hey, we have this series. It's called F1 Academy. And these it's just a women's only series, and they race these open wheel cars, and it's on the road to like go in F1. It's like, oh, so like if somebody was really good in this, like they could move up, right? I was like, I would say like yes, but not to Formula One.
Yeah.
The gap is too far.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sure we have the quote available.
Yeah.
And we'll probably
So
talk about
Max
what Max said.
Max was asked if he had female racers in his team, which is Team Redline, which is his sim racing team. And he said, in our team now, there are only boys driving, but if there's a fast girl among them later on, of course we want to have her. It's good that Formula One is now paying extra attention to women in motorsport with F1 Academy, although I question how they're doing it. The cars they drive are way too slow, and if you ever want to get them into F1, it really has to go to a higher level.
Yeah.
It's all very well having girls sponsored by F1 teams, but what are we actually helping them with? There's no next step for them now, and the gap to Formula 4 car, for example, is already too big.
Yep.
Which I 100% agree with. If you you look at how fast those cars are going,
Well,
like I saw it in Jeddah.
Yeah.
Compare that to the next category that was on, which I think was F2. It's like twice as slow.
Yeah.
So
So-
I guess is Formula One Academy like equivalent to F4 then?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
They
Okay.
race F4 cars.
Pretty
yeah?
much,
For
yeah.
real?
Yeah. So I mean, literally, for them to get them to F1, I mean, they might as well just have like another like F3, F2 built into F1 Academy.
Well,
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
The point is to grow the talent base of females, and that starts at the ground level.
No, yeah.
And we saw the same thing happen with women's soccer in the U.S., that the NCAA regulations would come out, and they said you got to have an equal number of male and female teams. So, of course, all schools have, like, football for men, but what did they have for women? And when college soccer started picking up in the U.S., they said, well, to balance it, we'll just have a women's soccer team. And now, because of that growth at the college recruiting level, which affects high school, which affects middle school, because of that growth on the lower levels, USA, for the past, 5-10 years, has had one of the best women's soccer teams in the world.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
the model's there and the potential's there, and we've seen it happen in other sports, like in soccer in the USA. But
it takes commitment.
Yeah,
And what you're,
It takes
you're
big
saying,
time
what you're
commitment.
saying exactly is, for example, Penn State, you're putting... You have to put money into those series. They're not just going to grow by themselves. You got to put money. You got to invest. And that's something that I think is interesting because, yes, you've heard a lot about F1 Academy is now globally streamed. They're along with the F1 weekends. So, like, when I was there, I watched their qualifying, for example, in Jeddah. But it's very rare that you'll just see, like, that someone's just going to watch F1 Academy for the weekend. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, I think that you do have the F1 involvement now where every F1 team sponsors a female driver on the grid.
Yep.
But that's just, I feel like it's just, and I'd have to look into it more, but I feel like it's just like baseline sponsorship. Like they need to be offering these girls more sim time in their sims back in the factory. They need to invest in their training and stuff like that F2 drivers, for example, get that these girls aren't getting yet. And feeder series, like Prema is involved in F1 Academy, but other teams should get more involved in F1 Academy as well.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get to record this part, but we talked a little bit before the pod about it. And my official, initial opinion was like, oh, so, these main teams have their own teams in F1 Academy, right? And you were like, no. And I was like, man, that's, crazy. I don't know. I understand, though, because if we look at F2 and F3, they don't have teams there either.
No.
They're just affiliated.
Yeah, I think affiliation should be stronger. And I also believe, and I think this fundamentally goes hand in hand with what Max Verstappen said, I'm not going to watch the F1 Academy races because they're too slow. The cars are awful to look at. Listen, I did the NASCAR experience this past summer, right? And I got up to about 170 at Pocono Motor Speedway. I looked like I was going 30 miles per hour.
Yeah.
The tachometer and everything, I have all the specs. Listen, all you people on the internet, I guarantee you I was going that fast. It
wasn't KFC.
It was quick, man. It was. Pocono, no joke. But that's compared to the NASCAR Cup Series cars that goes 200.
Yep.
On that same racetrack, and it's a drastic and with the draft, another good point. Yeah. But the discrepancy is there, man. We want to see cars go fast. I'm sorry, if you're going about 60 to 70% what the top speed of the F1 cars are, man, I'm not watching F4. Yeah. I'm not watching F3.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? A little bit because slow cars can still.
They
provide
can,
good races. You can watch a fun karting race. I watch Formula E. They race on tight and twisty.
See, but that's different though. The course is smaller. They're racing on the same courses. You know what I mean?
Formula I watched the Saudi Arabia F1 Academy race. It wasn't that bad. They raced well, not great because it's a long.
That's what I'm saying. It's a big freaking track.
They need to
go to different places.
Right tracks. They need to go to a Brands Hatch, a really small track.
The thing is with F1 Academy too is I was reading up on it. They're trying to make it as F1 as they possibly can with the cars they have. But again, I think the problem is also we're at a point now, and of course, mind you, F1 Academy would start in I think 2023. So we're just at a point right now, and I think it's the same thing with Formula E, honestly. Formula E. Formula E. We're just not at a point where we, especially in F1 Academy, we haven't seen drivers from there really make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know we all kind of dislike Danica Patrick, but she was one of the first people that we saw, come from the ground up and make it to the big leagues.
She did. She won an IndyCar. Only one win, unfortunately. She had the talent, though, to win more. And then I will actually credit where credit's due for NASCAR. NASCAR is a much, not easier, but it's a much more leveled experience for female drivers to go through the ranks.
Yeah.
We currently see right now in our, let's say ARCA car is F4, right? And then there's trucks is F3, Xfinity's F2, Cup is F1, right? We've got 5 to 6 female racers that are racing in those, at least the bottom 3, every week.
Yep.
Haley Deegan's one of them. I'm going to butcher her name so bad. Tony Breidinger, which I'm sure all the Penn State students here, as all 4 of us are, we go to Canes, and she's sponsored by Raising Canes.
Yep.
There's a lot of female drivers in the NASCAR feeder, which is great.
Yep.
Haley Deegan's won races in the ARCA series. Unfortunately, hasn't won in the trucks or the Xfinity. Yeah. But that is a positive on that side of the spectrum. Is NASCAR, and again, I will say it's the simplicity of NASCAR. We have ovals. A lot easier to learn an oval than it is to learn I know the Nürburgring isn't on the calendar, but just as an example, that's a whole animal, and just like using Spa or any of those tracks, so much harder.
Yeah. I feel like NASCAR is also a lot more supportive coming up.
It is. I mean, it's definitely cheaper. I don't know what the prices are in terms of feeder series compared to NASCAR feeder series.
I just think, especially, it's an American thing. I think people are a lot more open-minded to it.
Yeah, a bit. I think the biggest thing is, and it's what Max was saying, was if there's ever a girl that's fast enough, we'd love to have her on our team. And I think that's, if there's a girl in F1 Academy that can prove that she's fast enough to race in F3, for example, then the teams are going to go after her. They're going to want her.
Absolutely.
I think that it's just so hard to prove how fast you can go if the car is so much slower.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's they have the F4, we'll call it. they need to get them to that F3, F2, and then we need to see someone to go to F1. We need to see that path works.
The
You know what I
closest
mean?
we've seen has been like Tatiana Calderon.
Yeah.
She was testing for Sauber like 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
And then recently Jamie Chadwick, but she was in W Series,
Series
dominated
racer,
it.
Yeah.
And right now
Didn't,
she's in the Formula 2 of IndyCar. She's in Indy NXT right now.
Didn't
Next.
Naomi Schiff, who's a presenter for F1 TV, also race W Series?
I don't know. I don't know what she raced.
I think she raced. Hold on, I'm about to look it up because I'm pretty sure.
This is a short tidbit not off conversation, but it's on the same conversation. Does IndyCar, or not IndyCar, does Formula One have any like pioneer era female drivers?
Yeah, she
Like-
raced W Series.
Like
Sorry.
way back
Sorry.
in the day, like in the 60s and the 70s, was there anybody that was competing on the Formula One at all? Like, for example,
Women?
again, I
A
hate
woman?
for women, yeah. Has there been any, did they ever have any pioneers? Like,
Yes.
They had women
Yeah, there were.
tests.
I'm sure there were.
There's
I
been-
don't know.
Has there been a female driver?
Yeah, it was for a couple. Lella Lombardi from 1974 to 76. She raced for March, Ram, and Williams. She raced in 12 races.
See, it's interesting. It's like that's history I'd like to know. I need to know more about, because I was going to mention how NASCAR we've had pioneers, we've had women
Yep.
racing in the Cup Series back in like the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah.
It's just
think
I don't know,
there's-
something to think
There's
about.
5.
That the fact
Mostly
that
Italians.
something that I didn't know at least is that Formula One does have a history. Like this has been, like women have tried to, and they have competed in the
Yeah.
top level, the top echelon of Formula racing. So it's so tangible. It's a
Yeah.
very tangible thing. It
Yeah.
just it needs to get not worked on the Formula
Well, it needs to-
Academy,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's an imperfect system as it is right now. if
It's
that
a
makes
similar push right now, what F1 is trying to do with F1 Academy, to what Lewis has tried to do a lot with bringing diversity into F1.
Yep.
Which, to be fair, I feel like is working really well. I don't know if it's directly a byproduct of the work that he's done, but if you see it like in F2, we got like there's a lot more Indian drivers. I think Daruvula, who's Indian, just jumped to IndyCar, I want to say. I could be wrong.
Who's the gentleman on the he's sponsored by Kick Sauber.
Zane Maloney. I love Zane Maloney.
He's from
Barbados.
Yeah, the
His
Caribbean.
tagline is "The boy from Barbados."
I like that.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
like, because like Max has like the lion thing, whatever. His is the boy from Barbados, and I love
like
it.
that. It's great.
But yeah, like there's opportunities I think there.
W Series fell through because it wasn't funded properly, right? It just didn't have the
Yes.
money.
Yeah,
Well,
the investors backed out.
And
Yeah.
another thing that we didn't really talk about, like touch on, is like F1 Academy is run by one of the most powerful women in
Oh, yeah.
motorsport, Susie Wolf.
Susie Wolf.
And she also has connections to so many F1
So
teams,
many,
right?
yeah.
I mean, obviously her husband owns part of one, and is CEO of one and team principal Toto Wolff. But then you also like she was a test development driver for, I want to say, I don't know if it was if it was Mercedes or if it was Williams.
As Williams.
But
She was a test driver for Williams.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Wow, that's too cool.
she raced herself.
I
Like,
no,
she
no,
was a
I knew
great
she
racer.
raced. I just didn't know if she did that. That's
but
really cool.
but yeah, I just
If there's anybody that could lead that organization, in my
It's her.
opinion, it's her. Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
there's no one that's gonna fight for it more. I was even thinking like Lewis is someone that could be a great ambassador
Yep,
moving forward for them as
absolutely.
well.
She used to be team principal
I
of
was
a
just-
Formula E team. A good team, too. Team Envision for a few years.
I'm surprised Lewis.
Interesting.
This is another thing. I'm surprised Lewis doesn't put up the money to start a team.
Right? He's
You know what I
so
mean?
about
the dude is
diversity.
come on,
I
so
mean,
much money.
he-
Like,
he
he can
has
make
a-
that
Yeah,
happen.
he should fund a team.
He has an Extreme E team.
He
Yeah,
does
I
have
A
an
know.
lot of
extreme
people
team.
do, though.
Yeah.
I wonder if the Extreme E people were like, hey, come over here. It's super cheap.
Yeah.
Or they paid them for it.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
so many people have a Formula E, an Extreme E team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I think there's a lot of people in F1 trying to open up the gateways. I mean, like we said, F1 Academy, there's all the Lewis and stuff. Max has made a big point about wanting to bring drivers from sim racing to feeder series of F1 where then they can make it to F1,
Yeah.
which I think is really interesting because there are some amazing drivers who just never have the funding
Yeah.
and have
Yep.
raced so well in e-racing
Oh,
series.
yeah.
So I think it could be
I will
great.
say,
Byron.
I will say, Quick Google search here has alerted to me that the F4 U.S. Championship, if this is you tell me if that's a fair comparison to what they're driving.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
$130,000 to $195,000 to seasonally operate a team.
Wow.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
but
but that
compare
is
that to F1.
no.
That's
But I'm
like
saying for Lewis
10
Hamilton to run an
Well,
F1 Academy team, if we're gonna be somewhat comparable, he could do that.
Crazy.
I would
yeah.
say it's probably slightly more expensive.
It's definitely
because of
slightly more.
travel costs.
Yep, I'm gonna say double that number.
Yeah,
No,
probably
Still,
somewhere
double
around
that
there.
number.
That's like a new
If you're-
that's like a new
It's
AMG.
like
Yeah,
half a million.
350,000. Yeah,
Dude.
fair.
So he could so easily do it, but you know who else could do it?
Max
Charles
Verstappen.
Leclerc, who got a freaking new. I think he gets a new Ferrari like every week. I saw another unveiling video today.
Yep,
The
and
SUV family car for his new
son
family,
way.
Leo.
he also has a new business.
Oh,
that
he
is
does.
in the
Lek.
works. Lek.
Lek.
Not happy about it
Not happy about
wanna
it.
Because
know
it's
why?
not
Why?
because it's not anywhere else
because I
but
can't
Italy.
try it.
Oh, right.
It's only in Italy, and even only in certain places in Italy, which fans are not happy about.
Yeah.
But maybe
gotta-
I should just like.
Is it in
schedule my trip.
Maranello? Is it?
Probably.
I would
It
hope so.
better.
Probably.
At the Ferrari
if I'm
team
flying
shop.
out-
Yeah, it's the
Maranello. I
official
wanna
ice
eat-
cream of
I want to eat Lek.
Leclerc.
What if it's
Yeah.
bad?
I think it's really good. I've like seen videos of people taste testing it, and they said it was good.
I mean, hey, why not just
So.
import it?
I do like the name. It's meant to be like lick, right? Like Lek, like.
I think it's just meant to be
Lick
his.
ice cream.
his
I know
like,
it's his
initials.
name, right? Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
well, you know what you could do? Maybe somebody's selling a pint on eBay.
That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
Yes, maybe.
I mean, I'd tell you what, resale is gonna be crazy. On
Oh,
those
for
things.
sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But I'm more interested in his new family man persona. Leo Leclerc is the cutest thing I've ever seen. He is, if for those that don't know, no, this is not a baby. This is a dog. He's like this big. And Charles holds him like this, and he's walking. You can't even see my hand anymore. But he's just holding him like this, and he's walking around Monaco, and it's the cutest thing I've ever seen.
What
Wonder
does he? Who probably almost never sees Leo.
But he
crazy.
just got Leo. Leo is tiny.
Little
wonder-
guy.
Are they gonna travel with Leo? Is what the question is. I
Maybe.
guess.
I would love for him to travel with Leo. You know what I'm really looking forward to? A lot of people talk about about Leclerc and Hamilton doing a collab once
With
he's
Roscoe?
at Ferrari. Now I want Roscoe and Leo to
Yeah,
be best
I like
friends.
Roscoe.
I love
Roscoe is
Roscoe.
awesome.
Love Roscoe.
Ooh.
The other thing, this thing was funny because people kept pointing out the fact that Roscoe is kind of similar to Rosberg, and it's like, oh well, Lewis named named his dog after his teammate, so Leclerc did the same, Leo Lewis. And I was like, first of all, that doesn't really make that much sense. Could it be possible? Yeah, but it doesn't really make sense. Like Leo and Lewis is not that similar.
Oh, now I'm looking at pictures of
Leo
Roscoe.
Leclerc is so
Roscoe's
cute.
awesome.
Oh, Roscoe?
He's so cute.
No, Leo is cuter.
Look, he's got a little bandana on.
Don't be hating on Bulldogs, man.
I'm not hating on no
No,
bull.
not
Oh,
you,
I'm a
not
fan.
you,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Come
yeah.
on,
Leo
Marina.
Leclerc is
He's
the
on a
cutest
skateboard in this
thing.
picture. It's
Oh
great.
my god, wait, does Leo Leclerc have an Instagram?
No,
No
I don't.
way.
No way. That was
Oh.
fast.
Does he actually?
Dude, he's so cute.
Is it a fan account or is it like?
I think it's a fan account.
Yeah, it'd probably be
Okay.
verified already.
Look how cute.
Aw, little baby.
What type of dog is that? Like a golden retriever? Like
I was just about to say. I think it looks like a
looks like a
wiener
small-
dog kind of thing.
yeah,
looks
golden
like-
retriever
look.
wiener dog mix maybe.
Oh,
That's so cute.
little friend. Little friend.
Anyways,
Moving
That's your
on.
adorable moment.
We
of
love
the
it.
day,
my
presented by
little
Charles
my
Leclerc.
little
We like our little dog chat.
Charles dog chat.
Chuckles
Leclerc.
Chuckles.
Chuckles.
Leclerc.
That's
Chuckles.
cute. He better be at a race weekend this year. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm sure you will.
He could go to Monaco. He's already home.
right
he could
there.
just walk down the paddock.
They'll
That'd
just
be so
hire
cool.
somebody to like walk around with him.
Yeah.
I'll be the dog walker for
There you go.
Leclerc.
Jason.
Oh,
too,
there you go.
absolutely.
You would make bank doing that too.
Absolutely. You
Oh
know
my
how much
Gosh.
you know Roscoe doesn't actually Lewis doesn't actually spend any money on him, right? Like
He's
Roscoe
funded by
brings in
Mercedes?
money. No, Roscoe brings in money. Roscoe is a dog model.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Is he like
Roscoe
sponsored by
makes
like
bank.
a tout agency? Like
Roscoe
Probably,
makes bank.
honestly,
Roscoe
like how are you
doesn't
gonna get those
stay-
dog shoots?
Yeah.
Like
Lewis
you know he
can't.
doesn't stay at probably doesn't stay at like a vet or whatever when Lewis is traveling or with friends. Like
oh
he's
yeah,
like
he stays in a dog palace.
we just go stay at
Yep.
the freaking palace while I do modeling shoots for
Yeah.
whoever.
That Bulldog's living the life, man.
No, Roscoe makes money. Roscoe has a really nice net worth.
Roscoe is
Better than
many
Roscoe's an
Americans.
asset.
And we love
He's
it
an
for
asset.
Roscoe.
He's an asset.
He's an
crazy.
asset, golly.
Anyways, let's go back to the news. There's one more piece of news for today, and that is that the new 2026 regs are still not in place.
Nope.
And initial simulator testing, from what I've seen, showed that the car is pretty much undrivable in certain setups.
Yep.
What do we think?
Well, I was reading about it. It sounds pretty interesting. It sounds like Nui has some interesting things to say about it. From what I understand, it sounds like they're going to try and run a 50-50 power split between the ICU and ECU, I believe is what it is.
Yeah, the
Is that right?
combustion and the electric drivetrain.
Yeah.
And so it's not like that's, I mean, Nui was even talking about it. It sounds like it's going to be interesting because there are going to be times where the ICU is going to act as like a generator for the ECU in certain corners, just recharging that ECU to get that up to that.
Well, the ICU
power
is
again.
definitely going to be the most reliable.
I heard there's a
Of the two.
chance that it's just going to be running all the time.
Well, that's what I was saying. That's what Nui
So,
was
like,
saying too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be like pretty much revved out
Yeah.
the whole time.
Well, that's that
That's
sounds a little
sad.
dangerous.
I mean, I don't know.
It
Maybe
sounds sad. To
I love
me.
it. That sounds
It's
great
cool,
to me.
but I mean, like, just think about having an engine just constantly at like 10,000
Hell,
RPM.
yeah, man. The engines are too reliable
engine-
nowadays. I want
I
them tested to the
guess.
limit.
The
I guess,
engine
yeah.
or like I don't want it to be electric. Electric makes me sad.
Well, no,
There's
no.
sound.
So the ICU, from what I understand, it
Talking
will
about
be
the ECU or the ICU.
ECU will
is
not-
always
yeah.
running.
no, it's ICE.
charging the
Okay.
ICU.
ICE. It's the ICE. It's the
Elect-
combustion engine.
Okay. Okay, I was so confused.
Internal
Internal
combustion
combustion
engine.
Second.
Yeah, that's what it
Yep.
stands for.
There we go.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Neato.
So I
Okay.
mean, it's gonna be interesting.
I'm
I mean,
gonna
I just
run
imagine
down
just like
to
hearing the cars
electric
constantly at like 10,000 RPM. Like it doesn't even sound like they're shifting anymore. You know
There
what
was
I mean?
an F1 car that did that. They tested at Williams
Oh,
with
yeah?
Nigel Mansell. I think it was 92, 93. They used a CVT transmission. Now, for anybody that doesn't know what CVT transmission is that it doesn't have gears. It basically just varies the gear ratios using like two cones.
Is that
between
like
the wheels
what
and the
Koenigsegg
drivetrain.
uses?
I think so. Some economy cars use it, but they
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
blip so it like feels like a regular car.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it basically always stays at the optimal RPM
Yeah.
because you know how like you'll be a lower gear so you get
Yeah.
high revs
Well, yeah,
for like
yeah.
high launch.
It stays in the power band.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what it does, and that car always stayed at the same RPM.
That
so
would
you would
sound
hear
so
it,
weird.
and it would be like, even though it would like slow down and go faster, it'll still be the same.
It would be
tone.
like
Yeah.
I just imagine it's like a. I mean, I'm sure it would sound pretty good, but like I just think of it as like a Honda Civic. You know what I mean? Just
some
like
of some Nissans had like CVTs. Yeah.
Yep.
That's funny.
it's like, jeez.
What I also like is it seems like we're going lighter again.
Well, that's
Which
always
is
I like
great.
it.
Which is beautiful.
I
Lighter
heard they
and
might
smaller.
shrink the tires.
Yes.
Shrink the tires.
Tires are
I don't
so
know if
big.
you guys remember this.
Are we talking about shrinking the tires or shrinking
The wheels,
rims?
like as a whole,
Yeah.
for less
Oh,
weight.
the whole thing.
At least the width, because the rim probably is stiff on the 18 inches because they want to stay like a road relevant type of tire,
Yeah.
like that they use for WC, they use for Formula E, right? Because you go back to those 13-inch wheels, and they have they're like so thick, like you just see no road car
Yep.
with sidewalls that
Yeah.
big, unless it's like a monster truck.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I mean, Max has talked a lot about going lighter. I like the cars when they're lighter and smaller because F1 is also looking at a lot more street circuits.
Yeah.
In Madrid, we know they bought the rights or the name Chicago Grand Prix. So it's looking like it's going more and more street circuits, and street circuits with big cars is just not fun. Like, it's not good racing overall. So we'll see. Fun fact, we were talking about tires, is we saw this today. As F1 brings approximately 1,600 tires for a Formula One weekend, whereas Formula E brings only 176, NASCAR 960, and IndyCar to 600. I want to preface by saying that the only two I'm 100% sure of is F1 and Formula E, because the other two
It's
were
loose.
estimations.
Yeah, they were estimations.
We did an estimation.
Scientists Tristan, Marina, and Steven
Yes.
ran the numbers.
Yes, we have
And
a
that is to
hypothesis.
the best of our abilities.
Yeah. Which I
Yeah.
think is so interesting. It's
Yeah.
like F1, they're talking so much about like sustainable and like moving to the future, but it's like
It's
They've
all the
reduced
compound.
tires
They
to-
have, Jason, I know for sure you know about this, is they've had reduced it by like a couple hundred, right? From what they need to bring.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it used to be like I think 16 or 17 sets you could bring.
Yeah.
You could choose like whatever set you want. Like remember 2017 and 2018, every week I look up, Haas bought like mostly soft tires, or Mercedes bought mostly mediums.
Now it's all standardized.
And now it's all exactly the same set. You get
Which is
I
beautiful.
mean,
We like
do they
that.
get like a budget for that? Like,
no, it just through Pirelli.
They don't have to buy tires. Pirelli just provides them.
I don't
think so.
I don't think they pay. I think it's part of like the sponsorship.
It's
deal.
part of their agreement.
I think
Yeah,
NASCAR,
that makes
like
sense.
instead of
they have to
paying
pay.
cash,
Well,
I'm guessing Pirelli like gets a discount on like their advertising boards.
Yeah.
In return, they provide tires.
I'd say that
so like
probably
in
that
return
sounds
for
about right.
marketing, I guess.
Interesting.
Sounds about
Yeah.
right.
Interesting.
All right. I know we did podium predictions last week.
Yep.
But we got to do them again because
what did I
nobody's
say?
going to remember from 2 weeks ago.
Nope.
I'm pretty
I don't
sure.
even
I know
remember.
I said Max winning with Leclerc second, and someone with experience at their current team since the last time we went to China was 2019. So I think I said like Lando or Fernando, maybe Lewis, but not Lewis.
Not
because-
Lewis.
Maybe
I
Lewis,
don't
but
like
not
Lewis.
Lewis.
And hopefully some Alpine points.
Yep. I don't remember exactly what I said. I was on the same train of thought, though, as China. Some drivers on the circuit do have experience, some do not. I still believe that Max is going to win.
Yep.
I'm going to go P2. Oh, now I have to go back and watch last week's podcast.
Right.
I'm going to go P2. I'm going to say Carlos. I believe in the man. He's quick. The guy is
So
fast.
quick.
And I just believe in his skill. So I think
He's
it's going to
racing
be
for
P2.
himself this week.
And I'm going to pull with a
Every
Fernando Alonso P3. I think experience is going to help there. And then also, I still believe that Fernando Alonso is very
I like
quick.
Yeah.
that.
So
I like that.
I think the Carlos Sainz pool is great because I think Carlos, like I just mentioned, is like he's racing for himself now.
yeah.
He's not racing for anyone else. And I think he said this after, I don't know if this was in like post-race interviews or if this was in like the weekend wrap-up or something where it was like, I'm no longer racing for Ferrari. I'm racing for me to prove to myself every weekend that if I'm given a car and the circumstances to win, I will win every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yep.
P2 is reasonable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody have faith in Checo?
No.
I could see a P3
So
maybe.
good.
But
I'm clipping that. I'm clipping that. Anyone
I
have
should have
faith in
said no.
Checo?
Dang.
No.
I mean, no. I have Max Verstappen 1. 2, I like Charles Leclerc. Yeah, you know what? I'll go Charles Leclerc. I don't know why. I'll go Charles Leclerc 2. 3, call me crazy, but for some reason I have George Russell in my head.
Wow. Interesting.
Wow.
I have Max Verstappen 1,
That's an interesting
Charles Leclerc
poll.
2, and George Russell 3. Yeah.
There you go.
Interesting.
Battle with Lando.
All right, Jason. Quickly, because
kinda
I've just
cheating
received a
because-
severe thunderstorm warning from Penn State, and we would like to
Yep.
get home without dying.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm going with
I don't know
again,
who
a
won
Max
this one.
win.
Max
I'm
win.
going Science P2,
Okay.
and I'm going Norris P3.
There you go.
Okay. Max.
That's what I thought it was.
Max signs Norris.
Yep.
All right.
What-
I can see
No,
it.
Max Leclerc.
No, it said
I said
Sainz.
You said
Said
signs.
All right.
Sainz.
Well, I said it. Not me. I said it. So
You know what? Jason,
Don't worry.
past Jason said that.
Yes,
Yeah.
Pass, Jason.
Jason of the past.
So are you changing it to Leclerc now?
I really want to as a Leclerc fan, but no. Sainz is. He's hot right now. He's on it.
He is.
He's got hot hands. He knows
Has
what
he?
he's doing.
He's finished
Look
on
at
the
his
podium
hands.
every race he's been in this year.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So
I'm really impressed.
I'm very impressed with Carlos Sainz. But with that, thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it, and we would appreciate if you liked, subscribed on this video, but also go on our Instagram and our TikTok at Lights Out Latest, where we have Tech Tuesday, Wag Wednesday, Throwback Thursday, Fun Fact Friday, and Man on the Street videos, which this last week's was really good, if I do say so myself. And of course, the podcast every Monday at 11:30 Eastern Time.
The quote of the day. Do you know
Quote
what
of
it
the
is?
You have the quote
I
of the
have
day.
one. All right. So
Wait,
Oh
but
no.
We can
That's
do it-
my
we can do
thing.
a
I
double
We
forgot
mix
the
it
quote
up.
of the
Marina
day.
gets her
Who-
shot in
who
the.
said
She gets her
this?
shot.
Okay, go for it.
guys, I'm hanging here like a cow.
Oh my God!
Oh no! This was in Monaco, right?
Nico.
Yep.
Is it Nico?
Oh,
I got it. It's not in
wow.
Monaco. It was frick.
I'm thinking
Is
of
it
a
like
different wreck.
Baku?
It was Abu Dhabi
Abu Dhabi.
2018.
Yeah, I'm thinking
he
of a different
crashed
wreck.
with Grosjean and he flipped. and
That's
he was afraid of
crazy.
fire.
Wasn't there a wreck at like the turn right before the tunnel turn or the whatever the turn is that they go underneath the ground in Monaco and somebody got like completely stuck? I don't know.
Price
Anyways,
qualifying.
maybe.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. Sorry to get you off there.
No, now I
had
have to do
throw it in.
mine.
Oh.
We get 2 quotes of the day.
You got one?
was trying to
Wow.
close the episode
Because
there.
I totally forgot about mine. Okay, I feel like people are expecting me to fail, therefore I expect myself to win.
Carlos?
No.
Damn.
That's like profound. Like whose would be that profound?
Max Verstappen.
No.
They
I feel like it's such a Lewis thing to say.
It's definitely a Lewis Hamilton quote. Wow,
Yes.
I got yours and you got mine. I love that.
That's so good. Good job, besties. Good job, guys.
Anyways,
proud.
We're
thanks
just
for
doing each other
watching,
so well.
guys.